An announcement was just made that Trump is looking at sanctions against Russia for Putin not listening to his demands, for him just to cut it out and stop the bombing. Just stop it, Vladimir. Remember that bullshit? He needs to look tough again in the eyes of his people because he's losing too many battles. I mentioned in a live and in a prior video that I went by this house that's historically, for the last 10 years plus, had 20 flags in front of the house, and every single one of them was Trump is our God and fuck Joe Biden and all that stuff for like literally since the beginning. And this guy, nice guy, just buried. I went by his house yesterday again. He has this huge shed, and he had like a 40-foot by 20-foot banner. It was Trump 2020 and Trump 20, all of them, and all over the place. This guy must have a warehouse full of Trump memorabilia. There is not one word Trump anywhere on his property. Not one. There's still, the flags and the flags with the military stripe and the red and the firefighter stripe and the, police stripe and there's still those. There's a lot of those. And, God will always prevail type of stuff and God before country and, something like that. And, but not one word Trump. So I'm going to try and see if I could get in and talk to him. But what we need to understand is Trump's going through all this stuff, and you can always tell what's coming for Donald because he'll all of a sudden come up with some random thing against some person that is supposed to make him look tough in the eyes of the Trump show and the storyline he's trying to project to his red meat people. Remember, his Billy Badass thing on the tariffs has been biting him in the ass and basically screwing him publicly, worldwide, since he did it. So he can't hide from that either because any day now the shelves are going to start going empty. So he's got to have something to throw his red meat people. So there's something coming up in the future having to do with Trump and Russia and activities between them. I personally believe it has something to do with the election and things like that, but I'm not sure. You can tell something's going to happen with that person because Trump will randomly pick him out of midair and say something about him. And there's no talk or anything. And then you'll find out that there's this big investigation with all this evidence with Trump and so-and-so. So all of a sudden he starts talking about Russia and sanctioning Russia and being Billy Badass about, Putin didn't. It's going to end up being, it's for the show. It's, I'm being tough on Russia. I'm not with that guy. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, Uncle Vladdy. I love you, Donnie. That type stuff. Recognize it for what it is. But look at what's actually been happening with his executive orders. 75% of them are going in front of judges and being shot down by his own appointed judges, by Republican appointed judges. That's happening in real time. He's still doing fucked up shit, but he's not getting away with as much as he thought he would. That's a good thing. We've been wanting everybody to speak up and stand up and fight. And now it's happening worldwide, shoulder to shoulder. But Trump's ego won't stop because he has a lot more money he's going to try and make off this thing. So he's running out of options because he's running out of supporters. The people in Senate, in Congress that used to support him are also turning on him because they're going back home to their constituents and they're getting their asses reamed, deservedly so, because they're doing so many bad things that are hurting their constituents. The veterans, that most of them have woken up. This is happening organically, ladies and gentlemen. This is the reducation that's happening organically. He's making so many mistakes to his farmers, which were his base, especially in California, where he turned on those water faucets, and let those big reservoirs empty. Well, it's already pushing 90 degrees in the Central Valley, which means in another month, those farmers are going to need water from those reservoirs for their livestock, for their crops, for everything. That's what those reservoirs are for. But he had to flex his muscles with the Trump MAGA manliness. Oh, fuck Gavin Newsom, I'm going to go and turn on the water. Yeah, all that water evaporated. So it went for nothing. He tried to pretend it was going to trickle down all the way down the state and put out the fires. That's not how it fucking works, genius. But his red meat supporters that were diehard 20 Trump flags in a front yard and decorations of the orange one all over the place, Christmas decorations of, instead of Santa Claus, it was him. Yeah, that same house. Not one mention of Trump today. Not fucking one. I never thought I'd see it. Because 2 months ago, that stuff was still there. All of it. His mistakes are so visible, he doesn't have anyone to blame him on anymore. He's going to get more and more desperate like a caged rat, because he has to look tough in front of what's left of his people, that he's standing tough against Putin, because there's probably something coming down the pike that's going to show some sort of evidence between him and Putin doing something somewhere that's a bad thing. Who knows? Pay attention. Whatever. My guess, Putin for 20. That's the next investigation that's going to hit what little news still covers the news. So that's just a guess, because all of a sudden he's trying to be a badass on Putin. So we've got to recognize the things that he's tried to do is not working. He's planning this $100 million military parade, still insisting on tanks that will destroy the streets, literally. But he wants to be a dictator. His followers, seeing that he wasn't kidding about this military parade, that it's actually not fake news, are having that what the fuck moment. That's happening.